The human body is always up against some health challenges. That's no news. But while some are mild and easily cured, others are like a ticking time bomb, deadly and ready to spread like wildfire. Let's dive into the world of diseases that are not just deadly, but also extremely contagious. Ebola virus disease, a menace caused by the Ebola virus carried around by fruit bats or body fluids of infected persons. Once you become a host, you'll start feeling feverish with some level of muscle pain. But the real pain party begins with vomiting, diarrhea, and both internal and external bleeding. This can lead to serious issues like severe hemorrhage, and some organs may just go on an indefinite strike. HIV/AIDS. This deadly dread can go more viral than a TikTok video. Its specialty is to weaken the immune system and give access to different health threats to attack your body. It spreads like wildfire through infected blood, semen, vaginal fluids, and sometimes breast milk. When HIV hits, lightweight issues like sore throat, fever, and fatigue set in. But soon, heavyweight champion AIDS takes over to take down your body's security system, causes chronic infections and weight loss, and generally makes you vulnerable to any form of health hazard. Tuberculosis, an unrelenting throat invader caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and spreads as infected people cough and release it into the air. You'll see when love is in the air. That's a beautiful thing. But when tuberculosis infiltrates the air around you, then you may not be safe, as you may be on a long roller coaster journey of painful coughs that eat up your weight and bring you sweaty nights. The darkest part is that TB can take your lungs away from you. COVID-19. This creepy, deadly disease set the world on its toes. It spreads through the droplets from coughs and sneezes, and all you have to do to be a victim is have contact with them. When you pick up the COVID package, you begin to show mild signs of coughing, fever, or loss of taste and smell. But it can become worse, and you may begin to have difficulty breathing, while some of your organs may start to break down, leading to death in many cases. Smallpox, a very deadly infectious disease caused by the Ebola virus. It is mainly spread through contact with infected persons or objects and shows up with strong, life-threatening symptoms like a fever that competes with the heat of the sun, or head and back pains that come with a big bang followed by painful rashes that transform into pus-filled sores all over the skin. This disease has a high mortality rate and has left lucky survivors with deep scars and sometimes blindness. Cholera, a troublesome infection that makes you pass out your food through two openings at the same time. Imagine vomiting and passing out watery excreta simultaneously. Yeah, that's what cholera can do to you. It spreads through contaminated food and water and finds a safe haven in areas with poor sanitation. Cholera can dehydrate you, while also sapping your energy till the last ounce of breath if medical attention is not provided. Anthrax. This one infiltrates your body through spores, which can enter either through contaminated air or food. Sometimes when you have cuts on your skin, you may also be opening yourself up to anthrax. Whatever the pathway is, once Bacillus anthracis, the bacterium responsible for anthrax, enters your body, the results can be deadly. Breathing problems set in, plus swollen and writhing sores plague your skin. In a worst-case scenario, the bacteria can start twitching your intestines, causing gastrointestinal issues. Marburg Virus disease. The root cause of this disease is close to that of the Ebola virus. Yeah, those mischievous fruit bats. But it can also spread through the bodily fluids of infected people. Just like an unexpected guest, it hits you unaware, starting with a high fever and a severe headache. When matters get more serious, you may begin to experience worse symptoms, like bleeding from your gums, nose, and internal organs. It can make a victim bleed to death. Rabies. Your nervous system is in potential danger should this deadly disease find its way into your body. You may want to be careful around animals, even your lovely pets, because they are possible carriers of rabies. And one bite from them could spell your doom. Rabies attacks your nervous system, but it starts with mild symptoms like general fatigue and fever. When the real party starts, you may begin to feel unnecessarily anxious and agitated, coupled with hallucinations and, ultimately, paralysis that can lead to death. Dengue fever. Maybe you've thought until now that malaria is the only menace that comes from mosquitoes. Well, maybe it's time to change that, because dengue fever is another unwanted gift that the Aedes breed of mosquito distributes to its unlucky victims. During the first week of getting bitten by the Aedes mosquito, you may begin to feel severe pain in different parts of your body, like the eyes, muscles, and joints. It also comes with rashes and mild bleeding in the gums and nose. However, after 1 week, symptoms may escalate into severe bleeding, blood plasma leakage, and low blood platelet count. This means that life is gradually being sapped out, and death may occur. Lassa Fever. This disease is one strong reason to be scared of rodents, not because they're wild, but because their urine, feces, and other bodily fluids carry the Lassa virus, which is hazardous to you. Upon the first 3 weeks of infection, symptoms of fever, headache, sore throat, muscle pain, and vomiting may show up. But anything later than that can bring about swelling of the face, internal and external bleeding, and low blood pressure, none of which spells a good omen. Leprosy, a very deadly and hugely embarrassing infectious disease ironically caused by a tiny bacterium known as Mycobacterium leprae. It spreads from one person to another through respiratory droplets and mainly affects the skin and nerves. At the early stage, light or dark patches may be noticed on the skin, and then the muscles get weak, leading to numbness. Over time, the nerves get damaged, and the skin starts losing both shape and color. Ultimately, leprosy can lead to physical deformities, which can usher in stigma and social rejection, forcing affected individuals to go into isolation. Nipah virus. A virus domiciled in fruit bats and pigs, but can be transferred to human beings through contact. This virus is so deadly that a countdown to eventual death begins immediately after it is contracted. It starts with fever, difficulty breathing, and drowsy feelings within the first 2 weeks, after which more serious issues like inflammation of the brain, seizures, and intermittent coma start to manifest, which can lead to affected individuals struggling for their lives. Chikungunya. Another infectious menace caused by Aedes mosquitoes, those tiny winged insects that are able to shut down the body system. If you get bitten by an Aedes mosquito, it'll only take a maximum of 1 week before you begin to feel chronic pain in your joints, most especially your hands and feet. There's also muscle pain, fatigue, nausea, and rashes as part of the package. The sad thing is, these symptoms never go away. They can be managed with medications, yeah, but they just persist till the affected person gives in to the pain, which can lead to death. Cryptococcosis. Not to worry, this has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. It's just a disease caused by the Cryptococcosis fungi, which are mostly found in soil contaminated with the feces of birds. If you happen to inhale the spores of this fungi, you become infected immediately, and you will start to experience shortness of breath, repeated coughs, chest pain, and high fever. Should the infection spread to your brain, things may get more critical, as this can lead to meningitis, nausea, constant confusion, and general disorientation. Tetanus. The bacteria responsible for this disease are mostly found in soil, dust, and organic manure, but they gain access to the human body through cuts, burns, and puncture wounds, just like a creeping stranger. It's advisable that you clean up your wounds and not expose them in order to avoid tetanus infection, because this deadly disease can lock your jaws, stiffen your muscles, and even make swallowing difficult. As it gets deeper, worse signs like muscle spasms and respiratory failures show up, which can result in death. Yellow fever. Once again, we have to talk about nasty mosquitoes, and this time, it's an infection that they transmit to majorly the tropical and subtropical parts of Africa and South America. It takes 3 to 6 days to know your fate with yellow fever. Within this period, you may begin to experience intense fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, nausea, and vomiting. Meanwhile, things can degenerate into the yellowing of the skins and eyes, severe bleeding, and organ failure, which can lead to death. Pertussis. This is a highly contagious bacterial infection caused by Bordetella pertussis and transmitted whenever an infected person coughs or sneezes. The thing is, this bacteria has a special liking for the lining of the airways, so it stays glued to it even though the bonding is a toxic one, as it releases toxins that wreak a great deal of havoc. It starts with very mild symptoms that can make you think you only caught a cold, a runny nose, mild fever, and little spikes of cough once in a while. But wait until the chaos is done cooking and served hot. The cough turns severe, such that it can lead to broken ribs. Then you will begin to gasp for air as your airways will be inflamed. Pertussis can end up resulting in pneumonia, convulsions, and, in some sad cases, death.